listen, if you want to have philosophical debates over whether it should exist or not, great. Go get yourself a bottle of wine and reminisce about that. But realize you're not going to change anything.
Hello, fabulous people. It is Michele Phillips and Write Your Outcome. And today we are talking to Dr. Jill Schiefelbein. This episode has me so excited because it's a topic I am interested in, but I don't know a lot about. I am going to read her fabulous bio to you so you know what she's up to. And then we were going to dive right into some really juicy questions that are going to probably amaze us all. So, Dr. Jill Schiefelbein is an award-winning entrepreneur, top-rated professor, and innovative AI researcher whose work sits at the intersection of communication, technology, and business growth. As the Chief Experience Officer and partner at Render, a cutting-edge startup specializing in hyper-realistic avatars and digital likeness management. This sounds so interesting. Jill helps businesses leverage the power of AI to create more personalized and human customer experiences. Again, so interesting. Through her company, The Dynamic Communicator, Jill has inspired clients such as American Express, McGraw-Hill, the U.S. military, and Virtuoso Travel to embrace communication strategies that blend technological innovation with authentic human connection. Her approach to humanizing automation focuses on using AI not as a sterile, impersonal tool, but as a practical way to enhance customer relationships. I want to mention here before I forget, she also has a podcast of her own, the Humanizing Automation, that she is hosting as well. So you're going to look her up. She's written 4 books, has another one coming out. Let me just stop right there and say, hello, Dr. Jill.
Michele, thank you so much for having me.
Thank you for being here. So fascinated. So I've been using, I always want to call it ChatGPT, but it's PT.
No, ChatGPT. Yeah.
I always keep saying it wrong. I've been using it and I found it fascinating and so helpful. But let me even back up because I'm not a techie person. So what even got you into tech in the first place?
So I grew up in a small town in Kansas in the 80s and 90s. So we all know that was pre-internet. And so if you wanted anything, you had to have an in-person teacher or go to the library. And one of my formative experiences was I was incredibly gifted as a young child with art, drawing and painting. And my parents saw this and they got me a private art teacher when I was younger. I was winning national competitions.
Wow. For poster drawing. Is that your art behind you?
No, this is not my art. This is a Brito, but I really respect the style. Yeah. But yeah, and they hired a tutor for me, a private art teacher. And we worked together for about 6 months or so. And then, like many talented people in small areas, she moved away because there was more opportunity for her. So, other than Bob Ross and I having an intimate relationship, there wasn't much I could do, like going to a library, etc. So when I discovered distance learning and online education, and this was the very early 2000s, I built my first online course in 2003. For me, it was, this is a way to level the playing field, no matter where you're located at geographically. If you need to be a caretaker, if you're a single parent, if you work a day shift and you only have time for school at night, no matter who you are or where you are at or your life circumstances, it shouldn't be a hindrance for quality educational experiences. I never thought in-person and online were the same. That was never it. But you can have the same level of relative engagement and quality of experience no matter what. And it became my mission to find ways to leverage tech for good in that sense.
First of all, I love that. I'm in New York, so always access to everything.
Right.
So it didn't even question that. So, and I'm so not techie. So again, what's the parallel between art and tech? Is there any, because I feel like when you're saying you have this art background and then you have this tech background and then you have this human connection. So how does that all weave together for you?
For me, art then became my words. Right. I learned to, used to wield a paintbrush and then it was my voice or, my fingers on a keyboard or my pen. So words became my art. They became my currency. I still have you look around my place, there's a million different pieces of art. Like art is a happy place for me. But for me, when you look at technology, people who look at technology and only see it from a linear, logical, science-based perspective are missing the possibilities. And you need both, right? You need people who know how to program and everything. And then you need people who are the creatives that understand how to use it. And then I like to think I'm that person in the middle. I can do basic coding. I can speak to that side, but I can also envision how humans and technology actually interact together from not a novelty standpoint. Like, for example, I'm sure many of you listening either did the make yourself into a Barbie or an action figure or whatever challenge on ChatGPT that ended up going viral on social media. That's a novelty use. That's great. Those are creatives, right? That make these novelty uses. However, that's not something that you're going to use in business necessarily, but the method at which people are learning to communicate with the machine through these novel uses is actually helping people gain efficacy and comfort with the technology more. So again, you need the programmers, you need the creatives, and then you need the strategists in the middle that can connect the two to help you be more profitable.
So good. And I kind of was an early adopter. I'm sure there's a million things you could be using it for that I'm not using it for. But I started asking it everything. I mean, I'm having a card party tomorrow night. I'm like, I have 3 different couples coming. What should they bring? I'm like, this is crazy. But I want to get to businesses. So I know for myself, I probably speak for a lot of people, sometimes when I call customer service or I'm doing a chat, my first question is, are you a real person? Am I talking to a chat bot? Right. And I'm already annoyed when I'm typing the question. So I'm so interested in how you're humanizing this experience.
Yeah. So first and foremost, if you are a company that is using an artificial agent, such as a chat bot or an automated voice when people are, calling the phone and getting routed, number one, identify that right up front, because we are getting advanced enough as a society who has used technology for so long that we will augment our communication based on if we're speaking to a human or if we're speaking to a machine. Anyone who has rephrased something in search knows that you'd rephrase it one way to type it in and ask a computer, and you'd ask your friend the same question in a different way. The reason is your friend has context that the computer doesn't have. So when you're learning to communicate in different ways, the goal of generative AI right now and natural language processing, which is one of the models that, it uses to build like your Siris or Alexas or et cetera, we start to be able to become more human. So like if I rewind back to, I think 2012, I created this video series, and to be blunt, I was hellbent on this being like, this is going to go viral. This is going to make me successful. My business is going to soar. And, 2012 YouTube, I was ahead of my time a little bit.
Yeah, definitely.
I put out these 60-second videos, was feeling great about myself.
And what were they about?
Communication and public speaking. My first business was public speaking coaching for executives and athletes. And so it was, 60-second guru. In 60 seconds, once a week, you can become a better speaker and communicator. I mean, if you go look them up, my fashion choices back then are atrocious now.
It's always fun when you look back.
The content's solid, so I leave it up. After my first year, a video a week for a year, I was consistent and proud, and it was dang good content. It had like 30,000 views, and I was livid because I hadn't recouped my investment. I wasn't famous. But I thought, you know what? When people are going to be looking for this topic, how do they find me? So I started looking into the back end of the technology, the algorithms, the search. And then I predicted something then that is now happening. But it took me from 30,000 to, in under 2 more years, over 1 million. Wow. And that
everyone wants to know the secret. So.
Well, no, I thought people are going to ask questions. People come to look for videos if they have questions. So I need to reframe my titles. I need to reframe my descriptions with the questions they might ask. And that worked. And so now someone asked me, I don't know, it was like 5 or 6 years ago, what would the next search trend be? And I'd say, it'll be like you're speaking it. It'll be like you're talking to it. And sure enough, this is what's happening now. And I'm not saying I'm the only one in the world who predicted this, of course, but this is what made logical sense for me based on, again, how humans learn and evolve to communicate with machines. So we have to look at, what we're doing now in this age of generative AI is that we're communicating with this machine thinking it knows everything, when in reality, you need to think of it as your entry level, first day on the job employee. And if you're saying, hey, write me a 500-word blog post about X, You would never expect an entry-level first day employee to be able to do it. So why, with only those instructions, would you expect a machine to do it? So most of the error is user error, not model or machine error. Not saying they're perfect, but the vast majority of it is user error.
That's amazing. So I don't even know when I started using it, and I have it on my phone, and I just use it for like, even if I have to write a difficult email, and I'll just say, oh, I gotta, eat a little crow or apologize, but I still want to be professional or whatever it is. And then it spits me out this, and then I put it into Grammarly and I make it mine,
right?
Because I want it to be my words, or sometimes I even write my words, whatever. So what surprises me is I travel a lot and I work in a lot of corporations. When I ask people if they're using it, the numbers are low, or the people maybe in my classes, who's using it? Oh, I'm not using it. I'm not using it. I'm like, oh my gosh, you have to try it and play with it. So what are you finding?
So, I mean, I'm on the road 80% of the time so far this year speaking about this same stuff. And what happens is, when people are speaking about artificial intelligence or any type of strategy, they're talking tool. What's the tool? What's the tool? What's the tool? And that is, to me, the complete wrong approach. It's what is the human experience you're trying to create or a problem you're trying to solve that is human based. Number two, then how does that tie into a business goal, a KPI, key performance indication, or some metric? Only after you can identify those two things should you even talk about the tool or process. But most people jump right to the tool or process because we think, again, it will be a silver bullet. Oh, I can tell it to write a 500-word blog post and it will. Yeah. No, because you haven't trained it.
So the key takeaway I'm getting from you is use it for small things. I love what you said. Treat it like it's an employee first day on the job, right? You're building up its memory, or it's how it knows you almost. You're building the relationship. Now I'm going to transfer this a little bit to how, that impersonal feeling when you call companies, when you're, kind of going through all these, robotic voices. And it's interesting because some companies, their listening software is much better. So I can talk almost like I'm a normal person. And some voices I have to talk more like I'm talking to a machine. How are we humanizing that customer experience? What's coming for that?
So back to, I went off on a tangent earlier because so many things in here connect, but we have studies, and I'm talking about hundreds of studies that show if you are a company and you are using a bot or an AI agent, or even a hybrid agent, meaning half AI, half human, which is more and more common now, you want to disclose that right up front, because when you do, A, disclose, and B, if there is a reason for you having that benefits the customer, if you have those two things, your business return, customer service, perception ratings are all higher.
Interesting. Let me stop you. So I didn't get this when you said it the first time. I like what you said the first time about, tell them up front. So what I'm hearing you say now is when you do tell them up front, their expectations shift, and that gives them a higher rating.
It's not only the expectation shift. I mean, that's definitely part of it, but the bigger part of it is consumers, we want to know, why are we dealing with an artificial agent instead of a human? Do I not deserve the treatment of a human? Yeah. So as a company, you also have to communicate what the reason for this is. So for example, our real human superstars need sleep. So we can't be here 24/7. Our AI agent may be able to help you. Try communicating with it first. And if it doesn't resolve your problem, we'll pass your transcript onto a human assistant when they wake up. Right. Something, I mean, that's how I would do it.
Okay. No, so it's interesting. So, and I'm going from my own experience, because even when it came to self-checkout, I was a little like, I would walk up to the machine and I was already in like a little bit of a bad mood before I had to do it, because there wasn't a human and I had to like figure out what my fruit was. And, so I mean, I'm used to it now. I had to, you have to accept these things. So what are some ways that, regular people like us having to use this, calling up customer service, what are some tips you would give us for, dealing with these, the AI assists?
Number one, if you know for a fact that it's a problem that is not a generic solve, just keep saying representative.
Okay, that's good. Yeah.
Right? I mean, because most systems are triggered on representative or human agent or some type of terminology.
Because then I'm screaming, because you're a machine and you don't understand me.
Yeah, no. But here's the reality. There are tons of problems that people have. That if you think of any company, you typically have tier 1, tier 2, tier 3 problems, right? Mm-hmm. So tier 1 is the low hanging fruit, that if you're taking a human's time to solve those problems right now, you're not being very efficient. Now, that's not saying a company can't have tier 1 human agents, because all customers are different, et cetera. But tons of studies show, and this is not just academic studies, it's real life consumer-based research, that if I can help you answer your question faster or shortcut you to get the answer faster by linking you to a direct page so you don't have to spend 5 to 10 minutes on hold to get to a real human, then that's a benefit, right? So we have to, as companies, be communicating why we're allowing this or what the technology is enabling in the power of the hands of the consumer to do. So I am a loyal Delta flyer when it comes to domestic. Yeah. And so, right, I'm Diamond, top tier, have been for years. And so you learn that you'll have an agent and you'll be able to tell your human agent within about 30 seconds of interaction if they're going to be smart enough to solve your problem or not. Because as a frequent flyer of that much, you're not calling in unless it's something that you cannot do yourself. That's, you have your tier 1, 2, 3. Those are tier 3 problems that, need that human assist. But we also, just like you said for your self-checkout example, you had to be, the phrase is, systematically desensitized to using that. It wasn't anything that you were incapable of doing. It was just a change in mindset, a change in your status quo. It's the same thing as when people are like, well, students are using ChatGPT. This is bad. They're not learning. I'm like, listen, I'm not saying that writing skills aren't bad, but I'm also telling you in the early 90s, you weren't allowed to use a calculator on your SATs or ACTs, and now you are. Yeah. So technology evolves over time. And before, I would have a lot of people arguing that being able to do math and mental math skills was an instrumentally important thing, much like people argue that writing is. But now, people, math people can't do blows my mind personally.
Yeah, no, and it's not going away. So I think that's, I think with technology, I always say, technology isn't bad, but sometimes how we use it is bad. And we have to learn to use it for what we need it for. You mentioned Delta. I love Delta. And I also love American Express, which I see as one of your clients. I recently had a bad experience with budget. I'll say that out loud. And I did get people on the phone that were no help. So I finally had to call American Express and say, I need to fight this charge. And they were amazing. But again, it was that human interaction. So I want to hold on to what you're saying and hope the human interaction, is it human? Do you project that it might just go away altogether and we'll all just be dealing with computers? No,
never, absolutely not. Because a computer lacks one key crucial element of the human experience, and that's context. Yeah. Now, can it gain more and more context? Absolutely. But until we're able to quite literally put a chip in our brain connected to something that can expand on every single memory that you've ever lived, conscious and subconscious, associating that with your muscle triggers, your neurons and synapse firing and all the things that happen in your body when you even decide just to raise your hand to wave to someone. No, humans are better at building, maintaining, and sustaining relationships than computers will ever be, in my opinion. However, what are humans doing on a regular basis? You're doing a lot of repeatable tasks that computers can be doing. So why on earth wouldn't you save your time to do more human things? Yeah.
I used to love the book years ago. Oh my God. Just A Whole New World by Daniel Pinkett said why right-brainers will rule the world. Because little by little, the left brain functions were being, automated and, computerized and different things. So, you need both parts of your brain. So since the technology, I think, moves so fast, how do, companies stay up? Do they have AI CEOs now? How do they stay on top of this?
It's another tool. It's
another tool in your toolbox.
And it's a different mindset solely because humans have egos.
That's the key word right there. Yes.
My dad's like, this computer doesn't know better than me. And, we've played with it a lot of times. I mean, my dad's an incredibly smart person when it comes to many things, but especially chemical engineering. That was his field. He ran massive plants and did a ton of things. So he's like, well, does it know how to form the predictive curve of a bond between blah, blah, blah chemical and blah, blah, blah. I'm like, well, let's see. And, it comes back with an answer. And he's like, well, that's not completely correct. I said, but is it completely incorrect? He's like, no, but it lacks context. I said, bingo.
Yes. Yeah.
Bingo. Now, had you told it the context of what you were asking, would it do any better? So we put context and he's like, did better. I'm like, No kidding. Imagine
well,
that.
that's, when that's the information. So I've been using it. And then I was out to dinner with a colleague the other night and she was using it. And she said to me, well, what I do is I say to keep my tone of voice. I'm like, oh, that's a brilliant idea. I didn't think of doing it, because this is the way I speak. I type it in, can you improve it? But don't lose my tone, right? Of how I naturally talk, or I'm pretty, easygoing. I'm not very corporate, when I send my emails and that kind of thing. So, and then I started doing that with, the AI, and it was coming back. I liked what I was getting back better. So I think being open-minded and playing with it is really important. So what about the people that are like your dad, or even probably my dad, if he was still here, I'd be like, what the heck? How do we soften this for them? Like, say you're in a company and now this is the new thing coming out, and we just have to deal with it.
I have 5 different, I call them pragmatics for generative AI and understanding it. And when I'm speaking, I'm putting a lot of these in context for whatever industry I'm in, but I'll run through them really quickly for anybody, no matter what industry you're in. Pragmatic axiom, rule, guideline, whatever you want to call it. Number 1, AI outputs are only as good as human inputs. Garbage in equals garbage out. If you give a human employee bad instruction,
right,
you can't expect to get a good result. The same with an AI agent. And right now, if you're not even training your own AI agents based on your own content, then you're behind the curve. In using it. So if you're just using GPT, great, or Copilot or Gemini, great. But why would you use a general one when you can train one that understands your style, your brand guidelines, your elements, examples of your writing, etc. So we're a good year into that right now.
So for a regular entrepreneur, which model do you recommend, or which models? Let me ask you that.
But that's a tool question. It depends. Okay. What's the experience you're trying to create and what's the KPI it ties to? If you are trying to do it within an infrastructure where you have Microsoft in their enterprise level account, you'll probably want to be using Copilot. It depends on a lot of things. And that's why there is no one silver bullet tool, and anyone who says so is full of it.
Okay. Absolutely. And now another company I was in recently was talking about getting like the AI for internally, right? Because of confidentiality. Is that something companies are using so they can?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
They've been using it for over a decade, though. This is not new.
Okay. It's new to me. So there you go. Okay.
The term artificial intelligence was coined in 1956.
Love it. Okay.
But number 1, garbage in equals garbage out. Number 2, no matter where you're at, data fluidity wins the game. If you want to increase your efficiencies, you have to have data fluidity. And that means your data, you need to understand where it's currently located. And for a lot of people, that's in a series of Excel files. Not great, but it's where it's at. You have to know where it's located. You have to normalize and assess it to make sure it's accurate. That one data sheet has first name and last name in 2 columns. One of them has it in 1 column. You have to normalize and standardize your data across all your systems. You then have to find a way to understand what experience you're trying to create and what sources of data do you need for that. You have to maintain a culture around it, and then you have to find a way for your data to talk to each other. So how are you leveraging APIs, application programming interfaces, or what I like to call them as computer handshakes? I have my Gmail over here, and I have my CRM over here, my customer relationship management software, and they need to talk to each other. So how do those connect? Again, this has been happening for 20 years already.
Thank you for putting that in normal terms for me, because this is not my area of expertise.
It's a computer handshake. Computers shake hands and data share. So that's step number 2, or that's part number 2. Number 3, people who are getting ahead are focusing on the human uses of generative AI. It's not only increasing task and efficiencies, but it's also how can we better serve our customers? And thousands of studies across marketing, business loyalty, retentions, average sales, etc., all show when we can personalize, customize, or provide choice in our communication to our consumers, that you're going to raise the bar and move the needle. But why don't we do it? Well, time. Now you have a newsletter that you send out and you're only sending 1 version on it. Shame on you.
So talk to that a little bit more. Let's talk. So what do you suggest? What are your recommendations?
No, because if someone's sending out 1 newsletter, you're telling me by doing that every single one of your readers is the exact same. No, they're not. So how do you segment your readership? How do you segment your customer base? Is it by SME, like small, medium, large enterprise size? Is it by industry size? Is it by age? Is it, if you're a travel advisor, you sell to solo travelers, honeymooning couples, multi-generational.
So personalizing the message.
Well, that's customizing, right? To a subgroup. Personalization is one-on-one. So then if you have your data in order and you know that someone has hired you only for coaching, for example, but you want them to hire hire you for a retainer, well, you have that tagged in your CRM, your customer resource relationship management software correctly, then boom, you can sub-segment that. You write your first initial newsletter and then you customize it with small customization clicks to each and every audience and let people have better experiences, because someone who's never bought from you before, but is a continual reader of your newsletter, clearly you haven't cracked them yet, right? As in sales. Yeah. So what you're doing isn't working. So how can we move the needle on that?
So I'm going to back you up to the whole, what did you say earlier? Tell them up front that it's a bot, and tell them, I have not had that customer experience yet. So what companies, who are the early adopters? Who's using that, that it's a bot?
Almost every time I see a chatbot online, it's pretty clear that it's a chatbot.
The chatbot, but are they using it with the voice or no?
Yeah, this is an automated messaging service.
I guess it is. Okay, but it doesn't seem like it's still humanized. I guess I'm looking for the human aspect. What makes it, I'm still talking to a machine.
Yeah. I mean, some companies, you can get more creative with it and have a fun message. It's like, hey, I'm a robot trying to help you out while my human's taking a nap. This is how I would run it.
That's how I like it. Let's go to Apple. When I call Apple, they understand me. Like when I talk to the machine, it understands me. When I call somebody else, I'm repeating myself and it's not. So, okay. So what you're saying is it's already happening. I guess I'm still looking for the more human interaction, but you're saying that's the third tier.
But if it's not even third tier.
Representative.
Yeah, it's not third tier. It's statistically, we know that if you can solve tier 1 problems using technology and not humans, statistically overall, that doesn't mean for every customer, but it means overall, when you're trying to improve a bottom line, you look at the trends. You're better off serving those with tier 1 level employees, meaning AI agents at this point, where tier 2 and 3 get escalated. But you could also solve tier 1 problems for your loyal customers with a human. But you have to know your data. Your systems have to be talking to each other. Do I know that I have a diamond medallion person who flies 100 plus flights a year, always calling in to do something that they could do online, but they call in because they don't want to do it online? Well, then that's customer data. And if you have a good system set up, you can route that person more quickly to someone because they can go to an entry-level employee who's in training instead of having to go to a supervisor. But again, you have to have your system set up to talk.
And it's interesting because, I recently moved out. I moved to an area that's Delta is the major. I used to use a different airline. I won't say who. And I've had such a good experience with Delta. Every time I call in, when they get back to me, when I get upgraded, it's just, so they're doing something right. So and I feel I'm one person in many, but I feel like they care. And I think that's the experience we're all looking for, even though we know we're one in a million, so to speak. But you just want to know there's someone out there that's going to hear you fix it. And even maybe they can't fix it, just care that they can't fix it, or, that kind of thing. So you have 5 books, or 4 and 1 coming. So, and a podcast. So if you took those 5, those things, what do you want us to know about you?
I like to crochet. I'm a super aunt. I love my niece and nephew. The things that are really important to know about a human aren't in any of that. Well, actually they are in those books because I put that stuff in there. But it's, at the end of the day, it's what makes you, and what you choose to show or share with people. Do you talk about the hardships you've overcome or not? Do you, talk about accomplishments or not? When it comes down to being more human, what you feel is human, Michele, when you want an experience is different than what I feel is human. Yeah. And so the only way forward, like for companies, from my perspective right now is, again, you have to, and most companies don't have this in order. It was back to my second of 5 rules, which is get your data in order, because data fluidity wins the game. If I don't have my data in order, and data about a customer is that Jill's favorite bottle of wine is a Sancerre, right? That's a piece of data. Right? A piece of data for Michele could be that if she says representative once and doesn't get to one immediately, she gets infuriated, right? But that is a piece of data. People assume data is numbers. Data is not only numbers. Data is those pieces of information that make a person feel seen, that make a person feel more human. But if you really want to leverage AI, you have to have your customer data in order, and you have to know your customers. And that takes time, and that takes human connection at some point. And then the human building that data culture, entering the data because they understand the better quality of experiences it will allow the company to give the customer if they do.
So everything you're saying, I'm like, yes, yes, yes. I want this. Check, check, check. How do, write the outcome is the name of this podcast. How do we write this outcome? Is this something that's, we're going to see? I think, let me ask the question better. The customer experience overall feels like we're going in the wrong direction, moving away from, it takes me 2 seconds to buy something and, a long time to get it returned or find someone to help me kind of thing. They take the money really quick, but then when, some companies. So my question is, if we had to write the outcome for this, are the masses moving in the right direction? Is this early adopters? Where are we with this? Humanizing the customer experience.
Depending on what type of experience, I'd say we're all moving forward.
Okay.
I'd say we're very much moving forward because we have more choice as a consumer than we've ever had. If we want to go into a Louis Vuitton boutique, we are allowed to go and have that customer experience, that human experience in person. If we don't want to, we can do that online. We have choice. Technology in many aspects has enabled us choice in how we consume content and how we purchase content. And where people go wrong, in terms of writing the outcome is ego and bias, because this is what I experience. Other people experience it. And that's BS. It's not true. There will be some that experience it that way. But for example, I loathe sending out newsletters. I loathe it. It is one of my least favorite business tasks to do. And that's why I don't promise it. At all. I'll do it and I will do it sporadically.
I'm the same. I'm exactly the same.
But it's, but that's my thing. Other people love it. And that's one of their favorite things to do. We are all different as humans. So the 4th guideline or pragmatic that I have is we have to build guardrails around what is effective and not fear/ego. Ego is our own bias saying this doesn't work, or fear is, oh, how could it go wrong? If we're using technology based on that, you're never going to find the most innovative and effective solution.
And writing that down, because that's so prophetic. Because even with the self-checkouts, for a long time, I hated them. And I'm like, Michele, you get a bad feeling before you even walk up to this machine, right? So my ego, my bias, it's not going to do it right. My fear that I'm going to have to wait for somebody that's not around. I love that. I'm writing that down. Ego, bias, and fear. And I love what you said too about we are going forward. We all have choices. Again, everybody listening, for me, write the outcome is about reframing everything. So if you're taking that negative trajectory, can't speak. If you're taking the negative road, let's go there. When it comes to anything, you get to write a new outcome. Because this is here, it's not going away. So what's the outcome you are going to write to make this work for you, for your company, and for other businesses that are using it? So, oh my gosh, thank you so much.
Yeah,
tell us where. No, go ahead. You have final words. I was going to ask you final words.
I promised 5 guidelines. I said that. And if anyone listening is like me, it's like, she's mentioned 5 things.
And I'm so not.
Not gotten to them. I'm feeling unsettled, like Sheldon on Big Bang Theory.
Yes.
The 5th one is this, and it goes perfectly to your theme, Michele, which is the positive uses to me. This is my 5th pragmatic. I have an article with all of these lined out. My next book is predicated on them, that the machine actually wrote because I trained it. I edited it as a human, but yeah, it took me, once I trained my machine, less than an hour to write an entire book. The first
draft. Oh my gosh, how many pages?
100. It's small book. I don't want to be a long book.
Okay.
I have like 300 pages.
The book process is tedious. That's
why I'm over that. But anyway, the positive uses have to outweigh the nefarious. The days listen, if you want to have philosophical debates over whether it should exist or not, great. Go get yourself a bottle of wine and reminisce about that. But realize you're not going to change anything. Yeah. So if you want to debate on something you can't change, be my guest. It's useful in many circumstances to vent. I like to do it with bourbon. It's fine. Bourbon is my venting drink. But when we are looking at this, the cat is out of the bag, so to speak. Yeah. The train has left the station, whatever analogy you want to use. You can lament it all you want. You can have your bias or ego or fear all you want. It's not going to change the fact that it exists. And the people who are choosing to be innovative and try things, and from my perspective, connect those things to the experiences that humans are having, whether it's customers or internal customers, your employees, you're going to win the game further and faster. But, back to all tying the points together, it's all predicated on, do you have your data in order? Because if not, you're not going to be able to leverage these tools like your bigger competitors.
Thank you. You literally shifted my perspective today. As not, I'm a right brain creative, and I'm not a very left brain person like that. So I really got a lot out of this. I love that ego, fear, and bias because it's so true. If you're going to debate something you can't change, and that's what I would tell everyone, stop focusing on things you can't control, which is my mantra. But yet we're human and we do it. So
we all do, all of us.
What final words of wisdom do you have for everybody?
If you're going into using AI at all without a strategy in place, it's going in the same way as you're using social media and calling it marketing. Unless you have budget and strategy behind it, it's not marketing. You're posting, and that's delightful, but sorry, not a strategy. Same thing with AI. Go into it with a strategy. It's not going to solve every problem, and it's not binary. It's not a 1 or a 0. It's not a can it do it, yes or no. It's can it help me be more efficient? And I'm sorry, but for me, if I can save 1 minute a day for the 300 plus days I'm working, that's 5 hours saved a year of my time that I can do whatever I want with. And that's on the low end. I normally save between 10 and 50% of time on any given task by using these tools, and that continues to increase. That means I have more time to sit and sip wine and crochet.
And to crochet. You know? Well, you're really inspiring me because I am using it and I am saving time, but I need to get a little more creative. So this has been so fabulous. Tell people where they can find you and about your podcast.
Humanize automation. If you like this type of tips, I interview people from all different industries. Some you would think, how on earth are they going to tell me about anything? But we have great conversations. That's what a podcast is all about. You can find that everywhere you find podcasts, but really, Dynamic Jill. My last name is a bear. So I am Dynamic Jill almost anywhere on social. Reach out, slide into my DMs, not in a creepy way, but if you listened, you have follow-up questions, I'm always here to help.
Dynamic Jill. I would have been calling you that the whole podcast had I known. Okay. Thank you so much. Thank you for listening. And this is Michele Phillips. Write your outcome.